Corn poppies, or the Flanders poppy, or the Shirley poppy, is a classic tissue paper thin delicate annual that brings effortless charm to the cottage garden. The most important thing to know is that they absolutely hate being transplanted. I have been able to transplant some, but it is hard. And they have a delicate taproot system, in which this pretty much means that you cannot start them in small pots and then plant them out in your garden. So for the best success, just sow the seed exactly where they are meant to bloom. And I have this same success with most plants. It seems like they do better when you just sow them where you want them. And they like at least 6 hours of direct sun a day. Average draining soil. They tolerate poor soil. Like most plants, they don't like soggy roots. In early spring, as soon as the soil can be worked, or late autumn. And 10 to 21 days at cool temperatures, around 60 degrees to 15 degrees. And if you want to thin them to 6 to 8 inches apart, you can. That's not one of the things I worry about. And because the seeds are so tiny, almost like dust, sowing them requires a different approach. I've been okay with just scattering the seeds, but if you have a problem scattering the seeds, you can mix them with sand or something. But to prepare the bed in late fall or early spring, just choose a spot in full sun and clear out the weeds. Scatter the seeds evenly over the soil, and do not bury them. They need light to germinate. Instead, just press them down into the soil with a flat board, the back of your rake, or your hands, or a hoe. Just tamp it down with. I just tamp it down with a hoe, and just then mist the area gently. If you water it with too forceful of a stream, you could wash the seeds away, and you wouldn't even know, because you wouldn't be able to see them floating away in the stream of water. So once the seedlings are a couple inches tall, some people thin them. I usually do not thin my plants. And when they're established, you can water them during dry spells. They are remarkably drought tolerant. And overwatering kind of can lead to floppy stems and root rot. And they don't need any fertilizer, and sometimes the fertilizer will give you more growth and fewer blooms. And I don't do any self-care on my flowers, such as deadheading and stuff like that. I don't do, I think that's unnatural things I don't do. And I let my poppies self-sow, and when they drop their seeds, early in here in the Midwest, that's early in, say, June, when they drop their seeds, they begin to grow in July. You have little seedlings in July. And I think these are the plants that grow next year. They survive the winter. And so they are called hardy annuals. An annual because their life cycle is only a year. And then hardy because the seedlings live for next year, or the seeds survived for next year. Poppy seeds are remarkably long-lasting, and they can survive in plowed-up soil once they get exposed to sunlight at some point in the future. And in fact, there was a marvelous poem written about them, about World War I, called Flanders Field, and this is the flower of remembrance, and this is why they are used by veterans to raise money. The story begins in the battlefields of World War I in the region of Flanders in northern Belgium and southern France, and the brutal continuous bombardment of the landscape tore up the soil so much and enriching it with lime from rubble, and this created the absolute perfect chaotic environment for the poppies, the common field poppy or corn poppy. And its seeds can lie dormant in the dirt for decades, but they required sunlight and disturbed soil to wake up, and amidst the mud and destruction, the graves of 1915 millions of brilliant red poppies suddenly erupted across the landscape. And a Lieutenant Colonel John McCrae was so moved by this sight following the death of a close friend that he scribbled down the poem on the back of a notepad. In Flanders Field, the poppies blow between the crosses, row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky, the larks still braving, singing fly. Scarce heard amid the guns below. And that poem was a global phenomenon, and in New York City, a humanitarian worker, Miora Reed, read it and vowed to wear a poppy as a sign of remembrance. And then across the Atlantic, they realized that selling artificial fabric poppies could raise money for war orphans and veterans returning home from devastating injuries. And by 1921, major veterans organizations in the U.S., Britain, and Canada officially adopted the poppy. And today, millions of people worldwide still pin a poppy to their red lapels every November to honor those who served. And the story of the poppy is one of resilience. It is a fragile flower that thrives only when its environment is broken apart, reminding us that life, beauty, and memory can emerge from even the darkest soil. Many corn poppy seeds drop and germinate during the cool, wet days of autumn. They spend late fall establishing a deep taproot and low-growing rosette of fuzzy leaves. When winter hits, this hardy little rosette goes dormant right at the soil level, surviving freezing Midwest winters under a snow cover. In March to April, these wake up and begin rapid vegetative growth. Seeds that didn't sprout in the fall germinate in these chilly, damp spring weeks. May to June, paper-thin blossoms open up into brilliant red flowers. Display happens in late spring and early summer before the heat intensifies. Each flower lasts only a few days, but the plant produces a continuous succession of buds. In July to August, as the temperatures climb in the 80s and 90s, the petals drop and the pepper, salt shaker like seed pods browns and dries off completely in the summer heat, and hundreds of tiny dark seeds mature, and the pores open up and the seeds scatter everywhere. Even though individual plants disappear completely by midsummer, corn poppies are famous for reappearing year after year. The tiny seeds have a hard coating that allows them to lie dormant in the soil for decades. They require light to germinate, which is why they suddenly carpet fields and roadsides wherever the soil is turned over and disturbed. As the daylight stretches, I hope you like my story about the life cycle of poppies. And if you did, can you please subscribe to my channel? I would really appreciate it. So thanks a lot, and goodbye, and I will talk to you next time.